To summarize the movie, Marissa and Kyle lost their father at maybe around the time they was a teenager, and their mother, after kind of struggling with that, eventually met Willie, who came with his own daughter named Carrie, and all of them joined into one big family. But unfortunately, it wasn't one big happy family. Marissa, who was the oldest amongst them, she struggled to kind of warm up to Willie, especially after her father died, because her father was her everything, and unfortunately, her mom, Maria, or else Mama Scott, depending on who's talking about her, she wasn't the type of maternal figure that Marissa needed, and Marissa was expected to be strong for her mom. So, in the long term, that led to some kind of trauma, which made it so when she dates, it often doesn't end well. And not in terms of it being abusive or anything like that, it just doesn't become a full fledged relationship that could lead to marriage. Into this recent Christmas, and it seemed that, this could be different for Marissa. She met this nice man who was played by Lil Rel named Richard, and even though Richard seemed to be that non committal type, outside of him not willing to give labels, things were going well. But next thing you know, he's breaking up with her before she was hoping he would come home to Christmas with her in Texas. And then no sooner than she arrives home, seeing her mom, her shady aunt, and also shady uncle, here comes Carrie with Richard, and so begins a Christmas drama. So, getting to the review section, the first highlight is that there was a decent storyline for the majority of characters. Yes, Marissa is kind of pushed to be the lead, but you also have the storyline that Kyle's having with his marriage in terms of there being intimacy issues. Carrie's dealing with the ethics of her job, conflicting with her ambitions. And then there's, of course, the work life balance that she has trouble dealing with. Then you have Uncle Earl, who is dating someone who maybe you shouldn't be doing. And even if you're not someone who's pushed to be more so a lead character like the Marissa, Carrie, or stuff like that, you get a strong supporting role like you see out of Willie when it comes to his situation with Mama Scott, never mind his part in the feelings that Marissa has. And it all just makes it so for most characters, they have something to remember you by, even if you're not necessarily familiar with who that actor is. And this altogether, I would say, if you're someone who's been watching BET Plus holiday movies or owned for the holidays, this feels like the upper echelon of what they usually offer. Yes, it has the usual religious themes, which brings up the topic of forgiveness and hits all the usual beats you expect from a black predominant holiday movie, but it's also funny, the shady comments tickle you, and it has a few heartfelt moments, like when Mama Scott, aka Maria, is talking about the church she is in, and how what she does kind of brightens these people's lives, especially those who've really been through something. Getting to the on the fence portion, unfortunately, when it comes to Unexpected Christmas, it pushes that need to question what is a Christmas movie that should be on Hallmark, BET Plus, OWN, and what actually should be in theaters, because it doesn't do anything notable to make you feel like it needs to be seen in theaters or something that should have a theatrical rollout. And this isn't to say at all this is a bad movie. It's just, as we noted before, it feels very much going based off of the same type of trajectory, the same type of beats, the same type of script we usually see. Even in terms of characters, they're likable, but they're not complicated enough to be as interesting as they need to be for holiday movies, since, at least for me, holiday movies aren't supposed to be one and done. They're usually supposed to be something you want to watch over and over again, or even if they are one and done, like for me, Best Man Holiday, beautiful movie, I don't want to cry like that ever again. So I feel like holiday movies, even though they get pushed out in quantity, I think if you're going to have a theatrical rollout, it needs to have quality that, unfortunately, this film just doesn't have. But overall, when it comes to Unexpected Christmas, I feel like it's one of those movies where to see it in theaters is only if you have that mindset where if people don't see it in theaters, we're not going to get one of them days or Sinners eventually produce. Because to me, This feels very much like seeing a movie that's going to end up on Shudder. You get to see it early by going to theaters, but do you really need to see it early? Is it really that good? The answer is no. It's something that is more so content than it is something that can be considered an art if you want to use fancy terms for way of looking at movies. And again, don't get me wrong, you're not going to sit through this checking your watch, checking your phone to see how much longer it is, but it's not something that you're going to probably want to watch once and keep watching every year, never mind watch within the next few months.